The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Table Topics. I'm here with Carlos, taking over the beginning.
We're back for another edition of Table Topics. And remember, if you are watching this show and it's not a Wednesday night, it's because you're watching a repeat show. So please come back next week, next Wednesday, and we will have a brand new show for you. I want to thank Steve, our producers, Steve and Michelle, for bringing us back to the our set. Exactly, I know they've been so busy producing shows, and now that the school after school graduation, it's a big production they have to put together. It's I'm pretty sure it's thousands and thousands of cable they have to be put out there, and cameras and all that. But for the graduation, which I enjoyed it this year because my daughter did graduate this year. She graduated last year, but they had to do the ceremony, the whole crossing the stage this year. So which was good, and she's moving on to UMass Dartmouth for her school.
Excellent.
Criminal justice. That's what she was going for.
Get a bachelor's degree. Excellent.
Matter of fact, now she's applying for the police department, the Westport Police Department.
Good. For her.
For some reason, I'm kind of happy that she's not applying for Fall River because with so much going on in Fall River, you know, it's sad to say that, but you know, I think she will, because she's doing that, because it's the next step for her to be able to keep the study. Yeah. I know she's going to spend a lot of time in school, so kind of I think it's better. It's quieter, and you know, you have more time for school. Yeah,
and it's probably always better to start off at a smaller place, and if you want to go on to a bigger place. But you know, I'm sure Westport is probably 1/10 of what happens in Fall River.
Yes,
you know what I mean? So I'm sure there's issues there like any other place, but I think you're probably right. It's probably better to start at a small place. If she thinks she wants to move forward, then you go to a bigger place. Yeah. But I think Fall River would probably be the biggest place I'd want to go. Can you imagine being a police officer in New York, Philadelphia, Atlanta, all these big cities, Los Angeles? It must be a nightmare.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know how that works, but I think it was like a big deal for her because out of 1,800 people, I guess, doing the tests, for the position, she came up at 43.
Wow, that's good.
she came up as very good. She's a very good student, though. Good. She's very good with the. And you know, so very good. As you know, we started a couple of weeks ago. We started the Portuguese show again with my friend Cesar, Victoria, and we been going. It's good because he was born there as me. Yeah. So we kind of have that. Knowledge of how things there, because we grow up there. He's just been in here like for 15 years maybe. I'm here longer than him, but I'm older than him too. But it's good that we have the same backgrounds, that we can go back and forth. When it's there, when was there, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and going over this.
Sure, you got a camaraderie. When I was years ago in the military, you attached to anybody that was near you, and the military doesn't get a lot of New Englanders. So when I did find somebody from like Maine or whatever it was like, because just in this country, the Midwest, out west, people are different. You know, you must feel like, oh, I got somebody that knows stuff about where I came from and stuff. So that's cool.
At least when I say what I want to talk about furniture, I know somebody that knows and it can just brings me back something I forgot about it. You know what I'm saying?
Excellent.
So which has been very good. And one thing that we've been talking about is the difference between there and here. And last week we talked about the Holy Ghost feast, because when we were there a couple of weeks ago, they were getting prepared for the following weekend was going to be the Holy Ghost feast, which started there and then kind of died it down. And Mr. Cesar started doing it here when the president of, when the mayor of Ponta Delgada was Berta Cabral. So Berta came here and she said, you know, I don't know why we don't have this there. And she went there and she started. So here's another difference. On the Holy Ghost feast case, we here, the Holy Ghost feast here, it's done by a committee, by a group or organization. There is done by City Hall. You know, so guess what? that's a big difference, because now when we have the house there with the crown and the flag, the Holy Ghost symbols, there the feast is right at City Hall.
Cool.
Then they want to serve the soups. They go to across from the Santo Cristo Church, that plaza over there, they serve the soups.
Oh, cool.
Then they want the bands to play, they go to the gates of the city. You know what I'm saying? So,
so
it's all over the city. It's a feast that became a tourism attraction for immigrants, not just for immigrants, for people even inside different islands that fly in for that feast. So here's a big difference. When government, you know, it's not just supposed to collect tax from us, but to give us back something.
And you know what, to give, and I totally get where you're coming from with this, but I'm thinking they probably have more of the means than a city like Fall River to do that, because they have the money they're getting from the hotels, the restaurants, and it probably only bounces, like you said, off the tourist industry. It's going to help them. So they work with that together where, I get it here. It has to be done by private committees. It would be nice if some of that revenue could come back to us, because let's face it, the hotels are booked here during the feast we have in August, but there's only one hotel in Fall River. The other ones are in Westport and Dartmouth.
They're not even Fall River.
We
don't have one in Fall River.
There's one in Airport Road. There is one. You know, that one. But
that's so far that we don't even call that Fall River.
So it's, but you know what I mean. They're not getting that revenue.
But one thing that's interesting is how the city always looking for something for tourism, because that's what they survive off. So if they could have a big feast every month that tourism goes out and new people come in, and then people go out and new people come in, because they have feasts back to back that are organized. And you know, when you have the city behind you, you have transportation, you have licenses, you have all this big things happening that you don't have to be asking for.
Well, and I think that's been probably one of the things in this city that's kind of been disappointing, is the whole tourist thing. I remember when we had the Fall River Celebrates America, not that, but they had a Lizzie Borden tour where you got on one of those buses, and they brought you to the bed and breakfast. They brought you to Oak Grove Cemetery. I'm from here. I knew the history, but I thought it was fantastic. And I'm like, why can't anybody just jump on and do that? You know what I mean? That would just bring people in, and I just never understood how it just kind of went down. And I know under Mayor Carrera, he started something like that through some grants.
Yes.
And it just, nothing ever happened with it, you know. And
yes, and I remember my friend Patrick Harrington. He was the driver of the trolleys during that time, and here's one thing that we keep talking about. This person is going to be hired for tourism, and it's, you know, they want to do tourism. They want to. I mean, I think it's a lot of things and a lot of pieces on this foundation that really needs to come up and be raised before we actually have somebody that was going to do the tourism and make all the plans for the tourism, is identify which really we can give back to call tourism into the city. And I remember a couple of years back talking to somebody that I said, you know, that waterfront that we have with all those ships there, warships and all of that, if that is in Florida somewhere, you know, you will have a big destination because they will create shows out of that, showing history of wars that we participate, that ship participates, and you will have actors, you know, doing those shows for people that pay tickets to go and watch. You know what I'm saying? So right there, it's a big thing that we could attract tourists.
And you know, look at Salem. I mean, Salem was not that great of an area years back, and they kind of jumped on that whole witch thing. And I mean, I've gone up numerous times. I went up on one of your tours, and they really made a thing about it. I remember one time going up there, and they were actually acting on the street, and then they would pull you and go, "You're going to be part of the jury," and I'm sitting on this jury of someone they thought was a witch. It was like fantastic.
Yes.
So I think it's been kind of like they don't want to capitalize on this grisly murder, but I mean, it's a history thing.
It's a history thing, and I think that summertime, I'm a big proponent of using the kids from school for summer jobs, which they're familiar with acting already because they go to school to act, they go to school for theater. Using those kids, give them summer jobs doing acting for tourism attractions like this, the history of Lizzie Borden. You actually could have a street set up just for that, for the antique cars, for the dresses, that people will stand and see what's going on, and Lizzie Borden getting out of the house and going to the trial, and then now from there they go to the trial, they watch the trial. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we have so much potential, and we have with other communities. If the other communities had what we have here, they will be draining money and tourism in.
And I don't know if some of it, you know, just going to Newport. Like if you go to Newport for the day, and they have that gateway tourist center there, they have things about the battleship there. So it's, you know, because let's face it, you go to Newport, if you stay there for a week, somebody that's coming, I mean, we know what it's like, but to go there like for a week, if you've never been, you can do it, but to go back again for a week, there's not that much to do there, unless you go to the beach every day. So there are other places that have far less than we have, and they make it work. So yeah, I think that's been just a frustrating thing all the way through. That
and some people use the excuse of weather. I understand that, but guess what? We have ice cream stores. They only open on summer. They survive, right? So guess what? I mean, that's what we have to do. We're going to have summer activities that cannot be repeated on the outside, but we can create other activities for tourism that can be inside doors, or could be really on this cold. You know, like freezing, people can ice skate, people can bring, have show lights, and, you know, I mean, it's so much that we can do, and we have the places, we have the potential to do it.
I mean, hopefully, you know, I mean, maybe it would just be taking someone doing that, saying, hey, I'm going to set up this tour, you know, and go from there. So, but anyway.
So, that's to bring us to a point that they always looking for an attraction that can bring tourism. Yep. So about 10 years ago, they started a feast in Ponta Delgada called the White Feast, Festa Branca.
Yeah.
And here, what you have to do to be part of this, you have to dress white. Okay. And we're going to decorate the streets, and we're going to put decorations up, and we're going to put live bands on the streets, and we're going to close the streets, and I have a bunch of pictures for you to see it. Just look at the how people come out and doing this feast. Look at this. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
This year is going to be August 6th.
Oh, cool.
So it's coming right up. And you're familiar now. You can see yourself on that street because you walk those streets.
Yep, yep.
This was the mayor when this started. Today's the president of the Azores. Oh. But at the time, so you're familiar with this.
I already saw a ship. It was a ship. I looked it up from. I think it was somewhere in Europe, but they had just come from Iceland when it came to Ponta Delgada where we were.
Oh, the ship that we saw there?
Yeah, it had just come from Iceland.
So this is the Ave. It's on your right where you see the high buildings. That's the Ave. And then they just create this bottom on together on the water. And this it's all restaurants all the way around. Yep. Beautiful. For activities outside. Yeah. So what they do is they create different stages all over the city, and but the city is in charge of putting decorations up and preparing for this. Yeah. So and they were so I mean it's it's crazy. They go crazy.
Do they even have enough hotels for all these people? Wow.
They come from all over. This is the Coliseo in Ponta Delgada. So here he is. If you don't want to be outside, you want to be inside. Yeah. Everything it's decorated.
Where that tent was? Where was Where was that area?
The Coliseo.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah. Where is
this one? It's right. The Santo Cristo Church. Yep. If you keep following that street, it's right on the end. It's a yellow building, kind of goes around yellow. This is the Coliseum. Oh, cool. So they do. This is one of the activities they do in there.
Indoors, right?
Indoors, doing those feasts. So you can be on the street. You get to the city. God. You can see the church. Right here on your left side.
And I ate over on the other side, right? That's my favorite place. They have the best cappuccino there, absolute best cappuccino. I was so disappointed whenever I had it anywhere else.
I love it now when Joe talks about because he was right there. Yeah. So so what they do is they close some streets that has no restaurants, and they set up tables. The city set up tables, and you bring your own. And some people have like weddings and stuff during those celebrations. Wow. This is one of them. You remember?
That's my favorite thing here. Now I have to say, I wish I would have got a side shot of this, but this statue.
Next time.
Yeah, next time. Yeah. This statue is dedicated to all the people that immigrated out of the Azores, and I think they had Ponta Delgada, Villafranca, and there was one other city, probably Northeast. But yeah, when you see that, it's the father first, the mom's holding on to the dad, and the little kid is really not wanting to go. The mom's kind of picking him up, and I don't think the mom's really that interested, but she's got to go with her husband. And you see that, being from this country, and you see people that immigrated here that are Portuguese, my great-grandparents, but people just earlier, and I've said this to you, Carlos, that it takes a lot of guts to leave where you're from, your culture, your language, and come to a new country, This is a kind of a different church, and people are a lot more religious in the Azores because there are churches everywhere.
Every town has one.
Yeah, this one was kind of a distinct kind of church. It was just all roads, so you could tell it was kind of there for years, and they just built around it. And I think I might have had another picture that we'll have. This is my favorite place, Villafranca, my favorite place. This is probably one of the absolute most beautiful towns anywhere. They have this great pastry. I had that cake there that was absolutely delicious. And when you see the sign here, you look to the right and there's the marina. It's just absolutely beautiful place.
Yeah,
it's my favorite place.
You can see the beach on the other side.
Yeah, you can see the beach on the other side. I'm going to try to see if I can get pictures. People might be bored, but I have video of just the water coming in and coming out. I could sit there. I could have sat there all day and just watched it come in and out. It's just absolutely beautiful.
I'm so happy that you have your favorite places there now.
Yeah.
It's like the plane lands and John is gone. He has places to go.
Yeah, that's my favorite place. It's just, I mean, not that I don't like Ponta Delgada. It's very pretty there, but this place, it's just the water. It's a lot slower pace. Not that, Ponta Delgada is a fast pace, but it's a lot slower pace. Just a really pretty place.
So on the 1500s, Villafranca was the city, because there was no city back then. It was just people start living in one place, and that was Villafranca. So the Santo Cristo story was founded on a beach in Villafranca.
Wow, interesting.
Yes, it was founded on the beach in Villafranca, and they create the small church to put the Santo Cristo. No. Before that, the story goes that the Pope and the sister Mother Teresa, that's why Mother Teresa is outside the church, they went to the Pope and asking for a Santo Cristo to come. So they brought the Santo Cristo to Villafranca. Somehow they were transporting the Santo Cristo to the Ponta Delgada. And somehow, it was a big storm and everything, and Santo Cristo ended up on the water and ended up going back to Villafranca.
Oh, wow.
So that's a little story of the Santo Cristo. But yes, so to finish that, so the streets around Ponta Delgada, they have restaurants and they all set up outside. So those are already set up. But because there was so many people coming down, that now it was not enough. The streets around the gates of the city and the city hall was not big enough. They extended to the other streets, and what did, because they didn't have restaurants, they set up the chairs and the tables. So people you could bring your family and you could bring your own merenda, your
food and stuff.
Your own food. So you set up your table with your family, and now the guy at the next table, it's your neighbor. So now he comes and he tries your food, and you go and you try his food. You know what I'm saying? So they create this thing, and this thing keeps growing and growing and growing and become what you saw. And another, from nothing, another big tourism attraction for Ponta Delgada.
Yeah, and I know you probably, the last time, when we went back, last month, well, it's actually this month, right? It was a couple weeks ago. I was thinking June, but, because we left in June, but they have, around the gates, they have concerts, and I know you probably went to one this time. Last time when I was there, they had, it was Portuguese singers, but they were playing American British music, rock. So it's just so funny that they would talk to you, in Portuguese, and then they're singing in perfect English the rock songs, So it's kind of cool. But that's something nice that they have. When I stayed there to probably like 12, 1 in the morning, and you walk back, no problem.
The bandit's done, and you still have 1,000 people.
There's a lot of people there, and it's like you go back. There's no issues. You know what I mean? So
it's something that you start losing when you come back, because in here it's just working home. They actually get out of work at 6 o'clock. They go home, they dress up, and they go out. They go for their small espresso, with their queijada. They go for, they go sit on the waterfront. They go just sit on the waterfront and just enjoy the They get out. And they enjoy themselves.
I I think that's like a European thing. Families are closer because people don't. I mean, let's face it here. Families aren't like they were years ago. They're not close anymore. And we've kind of sacrificed that for all the conveniences and getting whatever you want when you want sort of thing. But there's something to be said, you know, to go back to that kind of lifestyle again. And maybe we will. You know what I mean? It always I mean, look what's going on in this country with inflation and all this. Maybe sometimes it's a good thing. You know, because I think people did kind of get close during this COVID thing because you only had your family to a point. So when something bad happens, something good happens. But I know we only have a little time, but I learned something, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But, you know, we had the British Empire. The sun never sets over the British Empire. And what did the British Empire do? They sent people to Australia, to this island in the middle of the Pacific that they wanted to get rid of. And then we had the Portuguese Empire that had, you know, it probably
came to the flame.
Yeah, no, but I mean, they had areas in Africa, they had areas in Asia, South America, so they couldn't say the sun never set on the Portuguese Empire, but it was pretty big.
Yeah.
But then I learned that they kind of did the same thing with the mainland. They sent everybody to the Azores, right? So it's kind of like, you never really think that, but I was reading that, and I said they sent people in the 1500s over to the Azores, you know?
Why do you think that the French Canadians move out of the fleet?
Well, it's...
Because the Portuguese moved in.
No, but I think that even happened to the French Canadians. They left Canada because, you know, some of them left, or who knows, maybe they said whatever. But I just thought that was interesting. And I've picked that up from people sometimes when I've met people that are from the mainland. You know, they'll talk and they're like, oh, and I'm like, come on, I understand we're not like, you know, the Azores aren't like the British, like we don't speak proper like the Brits, but you know what I mean? So I get that kind of, you know what I mean?
No, and even the islands sometimes, because let's see, it's like a father of 9 kids.
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants the same, but you don't have the same size of land, you don't have the same. So, but that's why the Azores between the islands, but the ones that pick more of in each other, it's Terceira and San Michael.
Oh, okay.
And that's what George.
Was from,
that he go. That's why every time that I was at the furnace, we went swimming at the Dunebeja, and he didn't have the shorts to swim, so he just walked on the hot water, right? and I was picking on him. I said, George, you don't have this on your island, right? And he said, you're right. I don't have that.
Well, I do know they have one thing that I didn't see on St. Michael is they have a statue in their harbor of Vasco da Gama. Yeah, so that was pretty interesting. You know? And that's another place that he was a Portuguese explorer that went around the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. So so there's some history there for sure, you know. So interesting.
We went through St. Michael again, and somehow tried to connect St. Michael with Fall River. So, with that being said, John, I think was another week well done, and we will come back next week. Let's see what we're going to talk about. We're going to try to get those videos to Steve, because we have interesting videos.
I'd like to see the videos other than talk about some of the depressing news here. I gotta try to be a little upbeat, Carlos, for another week.
So I see you next week, and thank you for watching.
Have a good night.